Okay guys, it ain't no secret that we sell PCs out here, but one day it was different than the others, cause out of nowhere a lady came into my store to purchase a computer for her kid, bought it, and then dropped this. By the way, do you want my kid's old computer? It exploded cause he tried to do something on it inside, and I wanna throw it away, so perhaps you could use it for parts or something? And I was like, exploded? Sure, I'll take it, if you're planning to throw it away anyways. She went to her car and came back with this. I thanked the lady for the free PC, and afterwards I was like, what? This looks too damn nice for it to be free. So let's see what we're working with and how can we salvage this thing and just how good is it in general. Okay, and after the first visual inspection, here's what I can tell you. We got DDR3 and a 4th generation Intel CPU. And at this point, I'd be slightly sad, but you know, this thing was free! I can't complain at all. Second, I see that we have some sort of an RX 580, 590 maybe? Okay, it's 580. A Yonsbo cooler, and I see a glimpse of an SSD and some sort of a Corsair PSU perhaps, because these cables scream Corsair CX500 to me a lot. But without booting it up or tearing it apart, we will not know exactly what we have here, so let's just try to boot it up and see what happens. And okay, after a simple try to boot it up, no power. I clicked the power button a couple of more times, you know, just to make sure, but as you may have guessed it, no luck there. So next, I have a theory that maybe, just maybe, okay, like right now I'm super delusional, but maybe the power switch might be broke. But after pulling out the I/O cables, no luck here either. And just for fun, I tried booting it up with the power supply switched off, and just for a split second we saw life, which gives us a clue that most likely it is a power related problem. So what I did next was plug in a brand new PSU externally, and we got power, but the PC didn't boot. So what I did next was try booting it with a single stick of RAM, cause these LGA 1150 boards, they sometimes don't want to boot with both sticks at first, but that wasn't the case either. It just doesn't react to anything, and I just found out that it only has 8 gigs of DDR3, so let's disassemble everything and let's see if at least the CPU is okay, or to rescue this thing we'll need to use even more parts. Let's go! Let's go! And okay, after tearing everything apart, it turns out that we have an i5 4590S, which in itself isn't that bad, but at this point I don't have any LGA 1150 motherboards here, so I have a better plan for this thing. I think this thing deserves an upgrade, don't you agree? So for an upgrade, I'm going to use this i5 6600K that I bought for 20 euros, these random mismatched 8 gigs of DDR4s that I got for 7 euros each, and this MSI Eco H110 motherboard that came with a stock cooler for 10 euros. Although to get it for 10 euros, I'll be honest with you guys, I purchased 30 of these motherboards, so realistically if you're going to purchase something like this yourself, an H110 motherboard will probably cost around 20 euros. And because we also needed a new power supply, I used this Chieftech 750 watt 80 plus bronze power supply that was from the same 300 PSU batch that I bought for 17 euros each. But you guys already know that a used CX500 will be more than enough for this thing. Now, let's assemble everything and pray that it works. And don't forget to install the I/O shield first. Okay, after assembling everything, it booted right up. Nice. So it also means that we have a working GPU. Like, we don't know if it installs drivers yet, but I'll take this PC home with me, install my SSD, and do some overnight benchmarking. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is Cheap Bastard talking from his home base, and let's talk about gaming. So, CS for some reason defaulted to high settings, and it recommends to use high settings, but you know, let's see how it first runs on low, and we'll go up from there, okay? And as you might have guessed, even on 1080p low, the gameplay experience wasn't ideal. I mean, it is playable for sure, but far from ideal. And what I mean by that is that, as you can see from the gameplay footage, the FPS is just going up and down. And it isn't that consistent. And because it is not consistent, we will not be raising the settings. But the game was playable. Now, Warzone defaulted to FSR on performance and a very random mix of settings, so let's just call them medium overall. Thank you WhatsApp for the affirmation, and here's what I can tell you. The FPS we got wasn't really enough to call it a competitive gameplay experience, but at least setting everything to minimum gave us slightly over 60 FPS on average. Next up it was Fortnite, and at first I wanted to kiss the developers for making the game run on a potato, but that was on the battle bus. The moment I started landing though, on the first couple of games using performance rendering mode and lowest settings with TSR on medium, the game didn't even load the guns, and the CPU was too busy to even start recording the footage. Like, the AMD Radeon software didn't have enough CPU capacity to even start recording, and everything wasn't even properly rendered. But after a couple of game reboots, and yes, I have the textures pre-downloaded already if anyone is curious, the game finally started to work okay-ish, but the CPU was capped at 100% usage all the time, and we were getting crazy stutters from time to time, so capping the game to 120 FPS helped a bit, but still it wasn't ideal. And just for fun, I threw in Marvel Rivals, and for a brief moment I was genuinely scared that we will not be able to play the game as we're barely getting through the settings menu. Like, I didn't want to throw the game for my team, but then on the bottom I noticed a very small text that said preloading global shaders. It was one of those whew moments. So yeah, I went to take a shower as it was already almost midnight, brushed my teeth, came back, and it was still preloading. But unfortunately, this didn't look better while playing the game. It was stuttering like crazy. So Marvel Rivals definitely doesn't get the pass even on the lowest settings and FSR and performance. It's just too laggy to play. But weirdly enough, Cyberpunk was smooth as a butter on 1080p medium and FSR 2.1 set on auto. I genuinely booted up the game to be disappointed once again after Marvel Rivals, but since we're not as much CPU bottleneck this time, I got very stable 55 FPS on average. Would you look at that? So there you have it. I got this free PC, but to make it running and slightly upgraded, I had to spend 61 euros. You know, boo-hoo me. It was dirt cheap actually. And it may not be as powerful as modern PCs, but hey, it runs CS and Cyberpunk. Of course, I could just have bought another H81 motherboard for 10 euros and then random 10 to 15 euro power supply, but then we would have been stuck with 8 gigs of DDR3 and a 4th gen CPU. And you saw how limiting the CPU is on Marvel Rivals, for example, so I just thought screw it and upgraded this whole thing a bit. Now, this thing will go up for sale, and I think I should easily get around 150 for it with no problems. Is it the beginning of PC Flip Season 2? I don't know, maybe, we'll see. Okay, thank you so much for watching, guys, and yeah, Cheap Bastard out.